Minister, thanks, and I'd like to commend my colleague Deputy O'Rourke for proposing this bill, and he's done a lot of work and engaging with with various sectors who are affected by this. And I was looking back at over the last Oireachtas, where the only opposition bill to actually pass the Seanad all stages was the Public Service and Procurement Social Value Bill 2015, which my colleague Senator Mark McSharry co-sponsored. And it was from that we decided to proceed with this, because it actually shows that in the intervening period we actually hadn't made much progress, if any. And I think really that is a charge I would lay at the door of successive governments. It's not a political charge at you, Minister, or indeed this particular group. We haven't done as well as our European colleagues do in this area. The facts bear that out. Back in 2009, as Vice Chair of the Public Accounts Committee, myself and former colleague of yours, Bernard Allen, produced a report in the Public Accounts Committee that actually compared procurement in Ireland and the amount of contracts that stayed within the Irish state versus other European countries, and we're the second worst in Europe, second only to Cyprus. 12 billion a year is procured in goods and services. What we're talking about is levelling the playing pitch. Frank has already said to you here clearly that we're open to changes and to amendments and to additions. And I think that should be, and I think by you accepting the bill at second stage will send a very clear message, particularly to indigenous businesses and the SME sector in particular, that government and the Oireachtas is serious about a level playing pitch. We're not talking about protectionism, we're not talking about Irish only or anything like it. This is fully compliant to EU rules. It will give you an opportunity, or indeed your predecessor as well, to actually be prescriptive about the guidelines. What it does is set down the social value. It also will make sure that those who are tendering or who are putting a tender out and offering a tender have to take into account when assessing those tenders the value of that contract to the area in which it is tendered, and the value of that contract to that sector of society, indeed to the businesses there. Frank has mentioned the situation, or Deputy O'Rourke, in relation to the libraries contract, that the 4 Dublin local authorities actually bundled the tenders, which meant that practically no Irish companies could even reach to tender for it, and those who did were at an absolutely massive disadvantage. They were taken out of the game already. So those contracts are gone. Over 50 jobs have been lost. I could give you numerous examples. It happened in the printing sector, where Revenue went and procured printing in Switzerland, where the Department of Education got printing done in Spain. You know, it's not as if we don't have quality available here. So this isn't going to stop that happening, but what it's going to do is to make sure that those in both government services and local authority services are actually going to have to be seriously looking at how they put the tender together and the offer in itself, and how they assess it when it comes back in. Because I've spoken to certain sectors within government more recently, just 2 days before Christmas, as Deputy O'Rourke did as well, to the Education Procurement Service, and told them how disappointed I was in the decision that they took. But there's no recourse. The appeal is only back to them. That is also another issue that I think you as Minister should look at. That if someone who has gone in for that contract and isn't awarded it, they can appeal it, but it's appealed back to the people who make the decision in the first instance. That's ridiculous. We can do a lot better. We should do a lot better. 12 billion to 14 billion euro a year is what the state actually spends in goods and services. We do not support Irish businesses like others do, like the French do, like the Scots, the Welsh, indeed. Newer assemblies and governments than ours do much better than we do. We have the expertise. We're building on the expertise in the OGP. There's no doubt about that, and procurement is not seen as something that is an add-on. But really, you know, I think by accepting this bill at second stage and expediting it to committee and remaining stages after we've taken amendments on board will actually show that the Oireachtas here is actually very serious about what we're doing. So I do hope you accept it. I want to commend Deputy O'Rourke for the work and indeed the engagement that he has had with all the various different sectors on this. And people are looking for us to do something. Now's the opportunity to do it. So let's agree it together, move this on at second stage and expedite it in the next 8 or 10 weeks, subject obviously to you remaining in your post if you're not elevated further. You know, one or the other, but we'd have a lot of confidence in you, Minister Murphy. Yeah, absolutely. so being serious though for a second, this is a really important piece of legislation. It follows on from the work we did in 2015. We've been consistent, Fianna Fáil, as a party on what we want to see. We're asking you to do what Simon Harris did by accepting this bill, but moving it on and bringing it into law. Thank you.